Hey, welcome to Attack the Stack. If you like that, try this. Until Dawn is a 2015 interactive drama survival horror video game developed by Supermassive Games and published by Sony Computer Entertainment. Players assume control of 8 young adults who have to survive on Blackwood Mountain when their lives are threatened. The game features a butterfly effect system in which players must make choices that may change the story. All playable characters can survive or die depending on the choices made. The story was written by Larry Fessenden and Graham Resnick, who sought to create the video game equivalent of a slasher film. The development team took inspiration from various sources. These include the movies Evil Dead 2 and Poltergeist, and video games Heavy Rain, Resident Evil, and Silent Hill. Jason Graves composed the soundtrack, and Guerrilla Games' Decima game engine was used for the graphics. Critics praised the branching story, butterfly effect system, world building, characters, and use of QuickTime events.
Wham! Trapper strikes again.
You're on death row. Did you forget that?
For crimes I didn't commit. Did you forget that?
Hidden Agenda is a crime thriller interactive movie video game developed by Supermassive Games and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. The player takes control of homicide detective Becky Marney and District Attorney Felicity Graves, both of whom are involved in the case of a serial killer known as the Trapper. The game features QuickTime events that determine the outcome of the story, including a character's death or survival. With the Playlink feature, others may join the game to vote for a specific decision to be made using their Android or iOS smartphones. In competitive mode, one player will at some point receive a secret objective, or hidden agenda, which is intended to create conflict between the players as they try to prevent it from happening.
Agent Norman Jaden, FBI.
My name's Scott Shelby. I'm a private detective. I'm investigating the case of the origami killer.
I'd like a room.
Madison, page 20.
Heavy Rain is an interactive drama and action-adventure game developed by Quantic Dream and published by Sony Computer Entertainment. The game features 4 protagonists involved with the mystery of the origami killer, a serial murderer who uses extended periods of rainfall to drown his victims. The player interacts with the game by performing actions highlighted on screen related to motions on the controller, and in some cases, performing a series of QuickTime events. The player's decisions and actions during the game affect the narrative. Game developer David Cage wrote a 2,000-page script, acted as director for the 4 years of development, traveled to Philadelphia to research the setting, and intended to improve upon what was flawed in his 2005 game Fahrenheit. Composer Norman Corbell wrote the score, which was recorded at Abbey Road Studios. Heavy Rain was a critical success, winning 3 BAFTA awards. The game received praise for its emotional impact, visuals, writing, controls, voice acting, and music.
My name is Kara. This is where it all began. The world's forge. And it will all end.
You do the housework, the washing, you cook the meals, and you take care of Alice.
My name is Connor. I'm the android sent by CyberLife. The company has allocated a specialized model to assist investigators.
My name is Mark.
Detroit Become Human is an adventure game developed by Quantic Dream and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. The plot follows 3 androids, Kara, who escapes the owner she was serving to explore her newfound sentience and protect a young girl, Connor, whose job is to hunt down sentient androids, and Marcus, who devotes himself to releasing other androids from servitude. Detroit Become Human is based on Quantic Dream's 2012 technology demonstration Kara, which also starred Curry. To research the setting, the developers visited Detroit, Michigan. The script took writer and director David Cage over 2 years to complete. They built a new engine to complement the game and cast hundreds of actors before commencing the process of shooting and animation. Philip Shepard, Nima Fakara, and John Paisano served as composers for Kara, Connor, and Marcus respectively. Detroit Become Human was met with generally favorable reviews from critics, who praised the setting, visuals, smaller moments in the story, main characters, their voice actors, the impact choices had on the narrative, and flowchart feature. The game is Quantic Dream's most successful launch to date.
I found you by the side of the road, in the middle of nowhere. Was there an accident? Did someone try to hurt you? Is that a scar? Is that recent?
I know. They're coming. Ever since I was born, I've been linked to an entity. His name is Aiden, and he's always with me.
We can find a way to protect you.
Beyond Two Souls is an interactive drama and action-adventure game developed by Quantic Dream and published by Sony Computer Entertainment. The game features Jodie Holmes, one of two playable characters. The other is an incorporeal entity named Aiden, a separate soul linked to Jodie since birth. Jodie, who is portrayed by actress Ellen Page, possesses supernatural powers through her psychic link to Aiden, growing from adolescence to adulthood while learning to control Aiden and the powers they share. Willem Dafoe co-stars as Nathan Dawkins, a researcher in the Department of Paranormal Activity and Jodie's surrogate father figure. The actors in the game worked during the year-long project in Quantic Dream's Paris studio to perform on-set voice acting and motion capture acting. Despite being a video game, Beyond Two Souls premiered at the 2013 Tribeca Film Festival, marking only the second time the film festival recognized a video game. David Cage, writer and director of the game, explained that the game development studios should provide interactive storytelling that can be played by everyone, including non-gamers.
It was like a dream.
I want you to empty your mind and open wide the doors to your unconscious, and let me enter there.
You know, there's much more to our universe than can be perceived by the naked eye.
Fahrenheit, also known as Indigo Prophecy in North America, is a cinematic, interactive drama action-adventure video game developed by Quantic Dream and published by Atari Inc. Fahrenheit is a paranormal thriller in which New York City experiences a series of mysterious murders that follow the same pattern. Ordinary people become possessed and kill strangers in public. The main characters of the story must uncover the supernatural forces behind these crimes. Publicity was generated from the developer's preference of game genre labeling, branding it as the first interactive drama, rather than an adventure or third-person action title. The game features motion-captured animation as well as branching storylines, split-screen cameras, and an interface designed to be intuitive and realistic. Event triggers in the game are also mainly time-based, as opposed to the more common player-initiated progression found in most games.
I cut this fucker open. Oh, he's safe.
The Wolf Among Us is an episodic graphic adventure game based on Bill Willingham's Fables comic book series. It is developed by Telltale Games. It is canon with the comic book universe and is set as a prequel to the comic book. The game consists of 5 episodes. The player controls protagonist Bigby Wolf, who must investigate the murder of a woman. Throughout the game, the player explores various three-dimensional environments, such as apartment buildings and a bar. When exploring an environment, the player may find an object that they can interact with. When this occurs, they must move a cursor over the object to select and examine it. Items of interest are stored away in an inventory and can be used later in the story. The player may also talk with non-playable characters and see the conversations presented in the form of dialogue trees. The dialogue options chosen during the conversations would either have a positive or negative effect on how the characters view Bigby, and their perceptions would influence future events in the story. Some scenes are more action-oriented, forcing the player to respond to a series of QuickTime events. The player is not required to complete every QuickTime event, and skipping certain prompts may affect the future events in the story. The Wolf Among Us has been generally well received by critics and garnered a cult following.
Max, what's going on? Where am I? There's something else I have to tell you. Holy shit.
Talk to me.
Life is Strange is an episodic graphic adventure video game developed by Don't Nod Entertainment and published by Square Enix. The game was released periodically in 5 episodes. The game's plot focuses on Max Caulfield, an 18-year-old photography student who discovers that she has the ability to rewind time at any moment, leading her every choice to enact the butterfly effect. After having foreseen an approaching storm, Max must take on the responsibility to prevent it from destroying her town. The player's actions will adjust the narrative as it unfolds, and reshape it once they are allowed to travel back in time. Fetch quests and making environmental changes represent the forms of puzzle solving in addition to using branching choices for conversation. Development of Life is Strange was done with an episodic format in mind for reasons both financial and creative. The developers conducted field research on the setting by traveling to the Pacific Northwest and subverted known archetypes to make the characters. Player feedback influenced the adjustments made to the episodes. Story and character arcs serve as the central point in the game. During its release, Life is Strange received generally favorable reviews, commending the character development, rewind game mechanic, and tackling of taboo subjects. It received over 75 Game of the Year awards and listings.
Dearest Mother, I came to this rock to find you, but I only find myself surrounded by schemers. The President, the Soldier, the Duchess, and the Cardinal, and those who invited us here. but I won't be a pawn in their games.
The Council is an episodic, interactive mystery graphic adventure video game with RPG elements like a leveling and skill system. The game consists of 5 episodes. The player chooses between 3 classes each with different sets of skills. There is an RPG XP gaining system that allows the character to raise his levels as well as the level of his skills. The progression system has 15 available character skills, 44 talents, and 20 traits that will make the character behave differently in accordance with them. Talents are separate from skills, and they bestow permanent character bonuses on the character. Some are gained by leveling skills up to a certain point, performing specific actions, or consulting the game's journal for useful snippets of info about other characters' weaknesses and immunities. Traits are permanent positive or negative effects the player doesn't know he's gaining, as the requisites are hidden from the player.
All life is only a set of pictures in the brain, amongst which there is no difference betwixt those born of real things and those born of inward dreamings.
Call of Cthulhu is a role-playing survival horror video game developed by Cyanide and published by Focus Home Interactive. The game features a semi-open world environment and incorporates themes of Lovecraftian and psychological horror into a story which includes elements of investigation and stealth. It is inspired by H.P. Lovecraft's short story, The Call of Cthulhu, while also being an adaptation of the 1981 role-playing game of the same title. In 1924 Boston, private investigator and war veteran Edward Pierce suffers from increasingly bizarre nightmares and self-medicates with sleeping pills and alcohol. He is soon contacted to look into the case of the Hawkins family, who mysteriously died in a fire. As the only clue is a strange picture painted by the supposedly crazy mother shortly before her death, Edward has to set out to Darkwater Island off the coast to find out more about the matter. A Way Out is an action-adventure game developed by Hazelight Studios and published by Electronic Arts under their EA Originals program. It is the second video game to be directed by Joseph Fares. It is specifically designed for split-screen cooperative multiplayer, which means that it must be played with another player through either local or online play. In the game, players control Leo and Vincent, 2 convicted prisoners who must break out of prison and stay on the run from authorities. As the story of both protagonists is told simultaneously, their progress may not be synchronized, which may result in one player being able to control their character while another is watching a cutscene. Players need to cooperate with each other in order to progress, and each situation can be approached differently, with both characters taking different roles. These roles are not fixed, so Leo and Vincent can swap their roles and in another playthrough. Players can interact with many non-playable characters, and there are dialogue options for players to choose. The game offers a play-free online model such that players will be able to join online sessions hosted by the player's friends, whether or not the joining player owns the actual game. The joining player must be a member of Xbox Live or PlayStation Plus though. Layers of Fear 2 is a first-person psychological thriller horror video game with an emphasis on exploration and story. Players control a Hollywood actor who heeds the call of an enigmatic director to take on the lead role in a film shot aboard an ocean liner. The game encourages exploration of the world around you. During your journey, you must discover your past and expose the reason for having been cast in this film. The world around you may change with the slightest of provocations, so it is up to the player to decide what is real. As the player delves deeper into the game, the depths of the ship that play the scenes for their film become even more terrifying. An original score for the game was composed by Arkadiusz Rakowski, conducted by George Strezov, and performed by the Sophia Session Orchestra. If you liked the video or it helped you out, click the thumbs up button below. It really helps us out. If you think it could help others, share it. Of course, subscribe for more content like this and more. And if you have anything to add to our list, feel free to comment below. Thanks for watching and keep attacking.